Yeah, that didn't suck.
That's for sure. It did not. You
Yeah,
know, if
yeah.
you look back, we started Monday morning at 6:45 here in Los Angeles with Mr. Roger Pinsky. And it is 5 p.m. here again in Los Angeles, and we just ended our online race industry week with Jim Campbell, Mr. Chevrolet racing, at Chevrolet. So in between, we had 5 incredible days, 55 hours of live technical and business webinars, 150 something race industry leaders from around the world participating, and I think we had over 110 countries represented in attendance. As you said, when after Jim Campbell, you can put the exclamation point. I mean, that's
Yes.
really probably the best
Yes,
way to.
well, leave it to Jim to sum it up so perfectly. And he basically, you could write a song based on what he said. That's the anthem of racing. And I think that I felt it. And I felt too, and we talked about it, all of us have, that being with all these people that energize us and, you know, make us love what we do has been a real privilege. And your vision, all of you, for coming up with this idea. And, you know, Judy, I've just got to say, your ability to bring everybody together, you are just magic. I watch you work here, and it's
I
stunning.
think I've just been doing this a long time.
You sure have, but you've earned a lot of trust and respect. And John,
Thank you.
I can tell you can make the driest subject interesting. I thought, oh, I'm not going to watch this. I'm just going to work. And then I realized I was going to write an email, and I haven't, because I've been sitting there watching something I didn't think I cared about for 45 minutes. And I thought, that's interesting. Well,
John,
you might.
And thank you very much. I enjoy it. And, you come into this industry and it takes a couple of weeks to figure out what's going on. And basically coming into the racing industry, everybody's smarter about racing than I am. So the race engine builders know more than I do. The race car builders know more than I do. The parts manufacturers know more than I do. And I just have always had just a great respect how they just don't stop innovating, and just for the kind of people they are. And it took me a couple of weeks in the racing industry to tell myself, okay, I'm someplace really special when it comes to the people. And then just the fun of watching the innovation over the years. I'm just engaged.
Me too. So what are we going to do next week, everybody?
I don't know. But, I just want to say I'm truly so proud of all our supplier friends that are stepping out of their comfort zone and doing this webinar. And it's new. It's new to all of us.
They did great, Judy. They did. One of the...
And our hosts were so gracious and just walked them through and made them feel at ease. So, so appreciative.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about, and I watched so many of these just to kind of get a sense of what was happening all the way through, and I realized all these products are content. There's a story behind the product. There's a passion behind how they were created. There's a sensibility about what the audience or the customer wants. It's really interesting. And buying ads is great too, but telling your story is so important. I mean, we live in the era where it's possible for you to tell your story in a human way where people care. And getting people to care is the first step to getting them to want something, I think. And that's what we saw a lot of here. It was a very interesting exercise. And I think the other thing that I think this was a campfire for the culture. We all gathered around this campfire and realized we're going to be okay. We're going to be great. And we're going to come out of this strong and better for the experience we've just been through. And I can't thank you all enough for just the courage and the commitment it took. You're racers too. You went out there and you solved a big problem for the entire industry by doing this. You gave it a voice.
You said it perfectly, Paul. I think really what we wanted to do originally, and that goes back to the spring with the EPARTRADE Live Tech webinars, was to bring people live, tell the story, you know, and demystify this fear of online and virtual and blah, blah, blah. No, this is about engaging, about being with each other, about sharing your storytelling. I mean, we had some incredible live demos during the week. I mean, you know, seeing what you can do with just being a little bit clever. And we saw it again this morning with Edge Welding. Miller for the first time was doing like, you know, welding with his camera, the zoom, and it was fascinating, you know. Joe from HMS did product introduction, explained all it. So there's so much things we can do. And I'm so glad that the industry really embraced our efforts, and it feels like, as you said, we feel like we're all together, you know, talking the entire week, and we're going to be so sad on Monday morning.
It's been great. Can I step in? It's been so great to see people use the chat button, ask about being a distributor. It's been great seeing people go on the platform and connect to suppliers while this is going on. I even had companies call me this morning saying they've been getting phone calls and hits are going up. It's really been remarkable.
And by the way, they've been put in the chat, they've been asking for you to host rather than all of us. So I think that's been a pretty constant thing. I just want to point that out. So, so you know.
I'm not sure about that, but.
Yeah, I think it probably would be better. But here's the thing that I also, you know, I when I'm done with this, I'm driving home and I go back into the real world and it's kind of boring, you know, because it feels like we go into this world, we're all together. And that was one of the first things you said, we're all together. We want to be all together. And very few people in our culture, in the motorsports culture, could have done this. I'm glad to be looking at the people who did this. You did us all a favor. You reminded us that, you know, we're a greater family with a common good and a common cause, that we can go forward and take our sport out of this darkness. And we have lessons to teach the world and how we go about things. Jim was talking about that at the end. We see our sanctioning bodies. You know, I can't say enough about all these sanctioning groups that solve massive problems. And we had some of them on. You know, I think our great omission here is we did not have leadership from NASCAR. We have to correct that. And to me, NASCAR were among the greatest heroes of this pandemic era, not just for racing, but for all of sports.
We owe NASCAR a big thank you. And actually, all of racing around the world owes NASCAR a big thank you.
All of sports.
I've spoken to them, and they really were teaching other sports how to go about this. So
they did, and again, back to being in the inspiration business, what they did was truly inspiring, and it comes back to what racers do, and we deal with mortal risk. We deal with catastrophic failure that are possible in a high stress environment like racing. And the way the NASCAR, IMSA, IndyCar, NHRA, everybody that we could think of, World of Outlaws, staggering number of events, you know, just keep going. And how everybody figured out these really complex problems that few could manage. Racers figured it all out. But to see those cars roll when NASCAR came back that first time, that was when our livelihoods and our world came back. And you know, I will remember this as a turning point in the history of our sport. I think we all have to realize the power we have, and as a sport, and also realize how committed the audience is. Without the audience, we don't have a business probably to do all the things we do. It's not just people making cars, selling components and parts. The whole thing works because people care. And I'm really blown away by how much they cared this year.
And not only they care, but they want to make it happen, Paul. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look at the example. It is 8 p.m. right now for Jim. Okay. Zach and his Lavelle working for big gigantic companies like he is on a Friday evening at 8 p.m. God, you can't even reach them. Jim is right there working and giving his time to the industry. Think of now this morning, last Friday in the middle of Thanksgiving weekend says, I'm available. Let's do a quick Zoom test to make sure everything works. So Friday morning, 8 a.m. and Bobby was up and running in his office. Think of all these people that gave their time this week to be with us. So yes, we put the event together. Yes, we kind of like, or the cement, or however you call that, excuse my French, but that basically, made it happen. But everyone that came on, every speaker was vested, put his energy or her energy into it, put everything, they care about this industry, they put their passion, their energy into it, and they make it work. And all the attendees, we have people again watching us from around the world that stay up late or work up early just to be part of this, to watch this. And we receive it. I mean, I can't tell you how many emails and thank you and all this. And we all receive a lot of people say, I missed it. How can I? So each and every one of you, next week, all the videos will be released and will be on racer.com, on EPARTRADE.com. We'll send you a quick invite. So just give us a little time because we are recording each day at a time. So you can imagine the amount of data. Then we have to cut, edit, and put everything together. But we will release all these videos as we always do. So if you missed a session, it will be available, and we're going to do a lot more of those, right, Paul?
Yes, we are. And I think, one of the things we'll do too is we'll break these into individual stories and releases through our social media. We have more than 500,000 social media followers. We're getting between 700 and 800,000 people a month coming to our website. We're also extended by another probably 300,000 out into Apple News and Google News. So these will be seen by a lot of people. I want people to be seduced by our industry and the people in it. I want more people to want to be among us. And this has been, remember, this is the gift that keeps on giving, what we did here this week.
Hey, can I step in, Paul?
Yeah.
Let's not forget to thank our 5 big sponsors here. ETS Racing Fuels, Full Race Distributor powered by Borg Warner, Miller Electric, Penske Racing Shocks, and AEM Performance, because without them, we could not have done this.
I absolutely agree. And these companies are excellent companies at the foundation of our sport. And they also delivered really nice video assets that were a pleasure to look at. And they also did a very good job in their panel discussions too. So I also want to mention, just on a personal level, you worked with our team, and our associate publisher, Bruce Kukuk, was on this project from our end, making so much happen and really energized by it. And I want to thank you, Bruce. I know you've watched a lot of this, and I know you put your heart into helping out. And John Chambers, our director of, our global client director, he deals with the world for us, based in London. John was directly involved in all this as well and worked very hard. Our sales team of Raylan Stokes, Debbie Brand, and Rick Bisbee worked hard. Our web team, led by Mark Lendenning, Andrew Krask, Steve Nicholas, supported by Victor Uribe, who handles our digital operations. Everybody was in. They were trying very hard to work, and there's still much more work to do. But this was a really big idea.
Yes.
And
did it for the industry.
You did, but I also have to say it was done with people who had big hearts on your end, and it wasn't a big decision, as you know. It was easy to say yes, and one, because I just like hanging out with the 3 of you. So
that was fun.
It was fun. Yeah,
Paul. I mean, we would not have let you say no. I was committed, and I'm glad you gave us less than half a second, and that was it. But if we do it, we have to do it with Paul, and there was no hesitation.
You have great oversight, and you're very colorful with your words.
Thank you, and I'm not swearing when I use my words too.
I am sorry sometimes.
No, I have these wonderful teenage daughters who prevent that. They don't like hearing it. So, but the last thought I have to offer here is that, when I think about where you started just 2 years ago, and where the world's moved since that 2 years, You know, I think about the video we did. I mentioned it today when talking to Mark Rushbrook. We did a video with our great producer friend, Rick Graves, in our studio work for Tesla when they were going to launch the Model S. We had the prototype. So we had to interview, this is in 2009, I think it was, 2000, yeah, 2009-ish, 2008. And he made a comment of, you don't, you know, the old hockey thing, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where the puck's going to be. You were doing this all the way through this, and you were anticipating where the world was moving. It was accelerated by the pandemic. But I think what you've done is help show the world of motorsport that the puck's out there. We got to keep skating toward it, keep up with it. So that's the thing that I'm so impressed with. And we're in a world of racing where what's next really matters. We live for what's next. That's a lot of what you have on your platform. And this week, you're what's next.
And actually, Doug Stokes right there put it, what's next? What's the next one? What are we doing on Monday? So again, we will share with all of you every single webinar. The EPARTRADE Live Tech webinar will resume beginning of January. We are going to take a little break so John Kilroy can take a little rest, and we'll go back to our weekly webinar.
We already have a lineup.
Yes, and then we're going to come up with a lot more things to do with Paul, and so we can't announce it yet because it's, but you can imagine what's going to be, you know, after what just happened this week. So Online Race Industry Week could become Online Race Industry Month, while Online Race Industry Year or Online Race Industry Decade. You know, who knows? Who knows?
We're just going to build
Slow down.
We're going to build a replica of all of us that just is like remember the Lincoln that was at Disneyland that would say the same speech over and over again. We'll get one of those.
Yeah.
But it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you, and get some rest this weekend, and the race starts again on Monday.
Thank you. And
We're grateful to you, Paul.
I'd like to add it to John Kilroy, who always come with the word of wisdom to close this absolute wonderful week. So John, on to you.
Thank you, Francisque. And I do want to kind of be frank. If we just announced the Paul, Judy, Francisque, and John show is going to be on for a week, our attendance would have not been what it was. So we owe thank yous in all different directions. We're not actually the stars of the show. The stars of the show, starting with the race technology that's on EPARTRADE. And when I say the race technology, you know, we can trace it all the way back to people, as we saw in Online Race Industry Week. We saw the people who invented it, and we saw the people bring out the new part like it was their newborn child and say, look at this thing, look at what we're bringing you. And so we thank all we call them pro account suppliers on EPARTRADE, and they went and built out showcases on EPARTRADE because they want to communicate to the buyers as fully and as extensively as they can. And we want to thank them. We want to thank all the industry leaders that when we called them up for a first time event, some heavy duty figures, and you may never have heard of Online Race Industry Week, but we want you to star in it. And they said, yeah, we got to do this. So thank you. And then thank you to everybody in attendance. So there's people out there, and I think this audience is a very special audience because there's a first wave to everything. And that first wave group of people, oftentimes, they're just the movers and shakers in the industry. So that first wave, thank you for bringing the wave here in Online Race Industry Week. That was a big deal to us. So we know we're not the star attractions, we're the facilitators. And thank you all. Thank you, racing industry. Some of my favorite moments from this week was I have as top of the list, hello from Paraguay. I just loved hello from Paraguay. And Francisque and I have traveled around the world trying to get people to pay attention to what we're doing. So hello from Paraguay meant a lot to me. And then the idea that, okay, we have the year of the pandemic, and we kind of all become used to saying the year of the pandemic. Imagine getting used to saying the year of the vaccine.
Yeah.
And so the year of the vaccine is coming up, and what does all that mean? I think people are going to be out and about for like the next 10 years, and they're not going to want to go home. They're not going to sit in front of the television sets. They're going to want to go to events. They're going to want to be with each other. And we have to see this as a window of opportunity. And the window of opportunity isn't just a window, like a window in your house. It's not fixed. The window of opportunity goes like that. And you jump through it as it's moving. We got to jump through it. And again, another thing I wrote down, Chris Grainer of Speed Sport News live streaming program, he said it's time for moonshots. And so I think we kind of heard that's coming together for 2021. And that's a thought I'll carry deep into next year. It's time for moonshots.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
You always have the nicest words.
Thank you.
You.
And then the other thing I wrote down is a racing industry cable TV network. And so it's kind of like we experienced that for the first time. And I'm not saying this is a pat on our back, but God, I enjoyed the hell out of just watching. I enjoyed, like, I go to race, I'm a fan, and online race industry week, I was often just a viewer, and I just was digging it, you know? And then when it comes time to people like Mark Rushbrook and Jim Campbell, and I know those two probably don't want to ever be mentioned in the same sentence, and I apologize for doing that.
They do. They like each other, of course.
You know, sometimes I've had some dark feelings about the people who run the car companies, and somehow I don't know for sure their approach to racing. But to talk to Jim and Mark for an hour, it's like those guys are racers. They love the challenge. They hate the heartbreak. They love the glory. I mean, they're in it like everybody else. They're in it to win it, and they're ready to suffer, but they're ready to work hard. They're ready to innovate. They're ready to take risks. They appreciate the people who get you there. The people who get you there aren't going to be the clock watchers. The people who get you there, and even though those are gigantic organizations, still the people who get you there are just like racers. And if something's not working, it doesn't matter what the clock says. You just keep working and you get it done. So it was really wonderful watching race industry cable TV this week. And then finally, I think we're all kind of, is demonstrated to us how so much of the innovation in racing, you know, a long time ago, Garlitz took a supercharger off a truck and put it on his dragster, and he woke everybody up to, oh, what's Garlitz doing? You can put a supercharger on your car, and how's that work? But it shifted from the racers doing that kind of thing, and the racers on the dry lakes doing that kind of thing, the racers on some of the newborn drag strips, to where there was this aftermarket that grew up, and the aftermarket hired engineers, and the aftermarket innovated. So much of the innovation in racing is coming out of these little companies that appeared on Online Race Industry Week. And we saw that firsthand, and it was just great to experience. Francisque?
Well, I mean, John, you said it beautifully. So I think I don't want to end it.
One more thing.
To continue. I'm like, oh my God, am I responsible for this? If I press end, this is it.
One more thing I want to point out is that Paul and the RACER team have worked magically to put together a portal for racing from a lot of different people, a lot of different, well, millions of people, you know, throughout the year, whatever, 600 million. And a lot of them are members of the racing industry. So I think there's a lot of people like me. I wake up in the morning, I have my cup of coffee, and within about 5 minutes, I'm at racer.com. And I've picked that up, that RACER has a strong following amongst the racing industry. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that, because I think there's a lot of people, decision makers in the racing business, who within 5 minutes of their first cup of coffee, they're at racer.com as well.
Yeah, I know, because they call me complaining about something.
It's our business.
But I want to tell you another thing too, is one thing that came up yesterday was that at our media panel, you know, the people that were on that panel, we're all on the same team. You know, I talked to Ralph today, you know, Ralph's my friend, and he has a media company that's in the space with us, but I go to Speed Sport too in the morning. I love what they do. I love the people they have writing. And Speed Sport's been, I've mentioned since I was 9, I've read Speed Sport, and when it wasn't being published, there was a disruption in the force. You know, I could feel it. My life was less happy because I looked forward to the content generated by that brand. And I think that what we came away with, and we made the comment, we are all stronger together. And if we respect racers, respect other racers. And let's respect the people that are in our industry. We've been through a time of division and finger pointing and grievance and blaming and all these other things. Racers don't have time for that. Like Mike Hall told me once when I was making excuses, racing is truth. Either you can do it or you can't. Either you showed up on time or you didn't. Either you drove ahead of time doesn't lie. You beat someone or you didn't. And that's what I love about racing. And that's what I love about the people in racing. They understand this, and we are all together I like our alternate universe compared to the rest of the world. Sometimes I don't like to go back. Sometimes I come out of a racetrack and I go, oh God, this. And I go back into the racetrack. Oh, this is nice. So I think that we have a special culture and community of people we live with and work with. And it's never boring. I talked to one of my friends dear friend who's an engine builder today. And we were just talking about how nice it is to be able to connect with people we love and care about and spend time with. Our customers are our friends, and we're in it with them, and we did all come together. And I want to thank all of you again. That one of the best experiences of my professional life was doing this. And
me too.
And when I started at age 17 forging credentials to get into Ontario Motor Speedway, I never would think I would live in the future doing this with all of you. So what an honor.
Works both ways.
All the same.
So thank you, each and every one of you. It is time to end the first annual Online Race Industry Week. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye. That was fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. Fill out your name, email, phone number, and create a secure password. Next, select your business type. Choose supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose racing business if you're looking to find new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose race team if you own or are a member of a professional racing team. Begin typing your company name. We most likely already have your company in our database, which you can select from the drop-down. Then, enter your job title. Choose Claim Company if you'll be editing your company profile. Other members of your company can choose Join Company if they'd like to use EPARTRADE as well. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Click Register Now, and your registration will be submitted for approval. You'll need to confirm your email once it goes through. To keep our platform industry only, you'll be approved shortly after. If we require additional proof of business, we'll reach out. Welcome to EPARTRADE.